Thanksgiving in the 60s and 70s wasn't about fancy table settings or picture-perfect dinners. It was about family, food, and the smell of a turkey roasting in the oven from the moment you woke up. The television hummed with the Macy's parade. Kids argued over who got the wishbone, and someone, usually Dad or Grandpa, nodded off in front of the football game before dessert. There were no phones ringing, no reservations to make, no fussing over decorations, just laughter, stories, and the sound of dishes clattering in a crowded kitchen. Back then, everything was made from scratch. The mashed potatoes, the pies, even the whipped cream. The house was warm, noisy, and full of love. Thanksgiving wasn't polished or planned. It was real. The kind of day that smelled like home and felt like forever. Here are 12 things Americans did every Thanksgiving in the 60s and 70s that made the holiday truly unforgettable. There was no alarm clock needed on Thanksgiving morning. The turkey did the job. Long before sunrise, Mom or Grandma was already in the kitchen, basting the bird and humming along to the radio. The air was thick with the scent of roasting turkey, onions, and sage. You'd shuffle out of bed in your pajamas, rubbing your eyes, drawn toward the kitchen like a magnet. The oven fogged up the windows, and the counters were covered in mixing bowls, flour, and handwritten recipe cards stained from years of use. No timers, no digital gadgets, just instinct, love, and taste testing. That warm, rich smell wasn't just a meal cooking. It was the smell of family, tradition, and home. At 9 a.m. sharp, the whole country tuned in to the Macy's parade. The TV glowed in the corner as floats rolled through New York City, and those giant balloons, Snoopy, Mickey Mouse, Underdog, drifted through the skyline like magic. Kids sat on the carpet in their pajamas, cereal bowls in hand, while moms called out from the kitchen, "Is Santa on yet?" The brass bands echoed through the living room speakers, and every so often someone would say, "Can you believe how big that one is?" For millions of families, this was the start of the Christmas season. The parade wasn't just something to watch, it was something to feel, a shared joy that kicked off the most special day of the year. Thanksgiving was the one day the good dishes saw daylight. Moms ironed white tablecloths, polished the silver, and unfolded napkins that had been tucked away all year. The kids were handed little jobs, setting out forks, folding napkins, or writing place cards with crayons and construction paper. The table centerpiece was always familiar. Maybe a cornucopia, a few candles, and a couple of ceramic pilgrims. The chairs never matched, and half the kids sat at a folding table in the corner, but that didn't matter. The dining room glowed with the smell of food and the promise of laughter. It was never fancy by today's standards, but it felt grand because it was made with love and family pride. Every Thanksgiving came with 2 battles, one in the kitchen, one in the living room. The kitchen war was fought over oven space and timing. Who turned down the heat? The rolls are burning. The turkey's not done yet. Pots clanged, timers buzzed, and laughter mingled with mild panic. Meanwhile, in the living room, the men claimed their spots on the couch for the NFL game. The Detroit Lions or the Dallas Cowboys. It didn't matter who was playing. The commentary was always loud and full of armchair coaching. The clatter of pots and the roar of the TV created a perfect Thanksgiving symphony, a mix of chaos, comfort, and the sound of life happening all at once. Before dinner, every kid turned into a little outlaw. The kitchen was off limits. which, of course, made it irresistible. You'd tiptoe in, pretending to be helpful, then snatch a deviled egg or sneak a pinch of stuffing while Mom's back was turned. Some kids specialized in grabbing crispy bits of turkey skin fresh from the pan, the holy grail of forbidden snacks. The adults knew what was happening, but pretended not to notice, as long as you didn't ruin your appetite. The best bites were always the stolen ones, warm and salty and eaten in secret. Those little victories made waiting for dinner bearable and gave the day its own sweet flavor of mischief. Once dinner was over and the dishes were cleared, the living room transformed into nap central. The TV flickered with the Thanksgiving Day football game, the Cowboys or the Lions, depending on the year, and the couch was filled with dads and uncles in a post-turkey daze. Someone always promised, "I'm just resting my eyes," before snoring loud enough to rattle the lamp. Kids climbed over sleeping relatives, balancing plates of pie and trying not to wake them. The warmth of the room, the hum of the game, and the smell of leftovers in the kitchen made the whole hostess feel safe and still. It wasn't about the score. It was about the comfort of being together, full and happy, as another Thanksgiving afternoon drifted away. No matter how fancy the rest of the meal was, the cranberry sauce never changed. It came from a can, and everyone liked it that way. Someone would grab the opener, turn the crank, and with a satisfying schloop, it slid out onto a plate, perfectly shaped like the can, ridges and all. A few quick slices turned it into shiny red medallions that wobbled every time someone passed the dish. Some swore it was too sweet. Others claimed Thanksgiving didn't taste right without it. Homemade cranberry sauce existed, sure, but the canned version had charm. It was simple, dependable, and oddly comforting. A humble reminder that even small things could feel like tradition. Every family had at least one drumstick kid, the one who claimed the turkey leg before the bird was even in the oven. There were only 2 drumsticks, and usually 4 people ready to fight for them. The negotiations started early and got heated fast. Sometimes Dad had to step in as referee, declaring, "You got it last year." But when that plate was passed, and the lucky winner held that golden brown drumstick, it felt like victory. One big bite, and you were king of the table, grease on your chin, and pride in your heart. The rest ate politely with forks and knives, but you feasted like royalty. Thanksgiving wasn't about moderation, it was about abundance. You filled your plate with turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, green bean casserole, sweet potatoes, rolls, gravy, and cranberry sauce, then went back for seconds, maybe thirds. You told yourself you were done, then smelled the pumpkin pie and started again. Buttons strained, belts loosened, and laughter filled the air as everyone joked about being stuffed like the turkey. When the tryptophan kicked in, the living room became a sea of snoozing relatives, soft snoring mixing with the hum of football on TV. It wasn't just overeating. It was tradition, pure and simple, and nobody ever regretted it. The kids' table was its own universe, loud, messy, and wonderful. Usually a folding card table covered in a plastic tablecloth. It wobbled with every laugh. Plates were too full. Drinks spilled constantly, and mashed potato volcanoes erupted across paper napkins. Someone was always trying to sneak an extra roll or take a sip of sparkling cider when the adults weren't looking. You talked about school, dared each other to eat cranberry sauce, and giggled over inside jokes. The grown-up table might have had fine china, but the kids' table had freedom and fun. Everyone dreamed of graduating someday, but deep down, everyone knew the real party was right there, at that wobbly table. After the parade ended and the football quieted down, the living room lights dimmed for the evening specials. A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, The Wizard of Oz, or a Disney movie flickered on the old box TV. The air smelled of coffee and leftover pie, and everyone was wrapped in blankets, content and sleepy. Kids sprawled on the floor. Parents and grandparents relaxed in armchairs, half watching, half napping. There was no channel surfing, no distractions, just one shared story on the screen. For that hour or two, the whole family sat together, bellies full, hearts calm. It wasn't just television, it was comfort, a quiet ending to a perfect day. When the dishes were finally washed and the house grew quiet, the best part of Thanksgiving began. The late-night leftovers. Someone always came back to the kitchen for a cold turkey sandwich or a slice of pie for the road. Leftovers were laid out again, and laughter slowly returned. Parents swapped stories about when they were kids. Grandparents shared old family tales, and children listened, wide-eyed, pretending not to be sleepy. The night wound down with hugs, containers of food packed for the next day, and the warmth of togetherness that lingered long after everyone went home. Thanksgiving wasn't about how perfect the meal was. It was about the people, the memories, and the feeling that, for one day, everything was exactly as it should be. Thanksgiving in the 60s and 70s wasn't polished or planned. It was heartfelt. It was the smell of roasting turkey before sunrise, the sound of laughter over mismatched tables, and the comfort of knowing that no matter what, everyone came home. There were no distractions, no rush, just food made with love, stories shared across generations, and a warmth that filled the whole house. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And maybe that's what made it so special. What's your favorite Thanksgiving memory? Share it in the comments. We love hearing your stories and read every single one of them. And if this brought back memories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more nostalgic stories from the good old days.